for the Research Talks podcast here on Stopbox with Alan Green. Alan, good to be chatting to you again. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Mark. Yeah, we're so far avoiding the lurgy and this cocktail of bugs and stomach bugs and gastric flu and goodness knows what else flying out at the moment. But avoided it so far. I hope I will still be here in one piece next week.
Let's hope so. Yes, I have heard that there's something going around, particularly with COVID as well. It seems to be peaking again in the UK. So yeah, it's that time of year, unfortunately. So we just have to, knuckle down and we'll hope for the best. Really.
I hope so, Mark. Yeah, I think it's been a fantastic summer, and I was saying to someone earlier on today, I can't believe it seems like I think it's about 6 weeks ago that we had that heat wave, or 6 to 8 weeks ago, had that heat wave, and I was leaning here and jumping on the push bike and riding down to the beach of Seaford and jumping in the sea, and it's all rather different now, but that was just 6 to 8 weeks ago. So yeah, where's the time gone?
Indeed. Well, you're going to be talking to us today about the investment case for Rockfire Resources, who, of course, did do quite a heavily discounted placing recently. I don't know if I've spoken, I think with other people, perhaps on a podcast, we've spoken about this before, about, when the bottom of the market is nearly in, when you start seeing these horrific sort of placing deals that are heavily discounted. But of course, they had to do that potentially, but their investment case still stands, or their assets they have still stands. So hopefully you can sort of just paint the picture for us on what they've got and, the investment case for Rockfire. And then, of course, Tech Minerals as well is the other one that you want to talk to us about, isn't it?
TekCapital.
TekCapital, sorry, TekCapital.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
TekCapital as well is the other one. But Rockfire, yes, it's an intriguing development with the placing, the institutionally back placing, and of course all of the directors took part, which is great. But you have to sort of ask questions when the share price is trading at 0.26p and the placing is done at 0.125p. But nonetheless, there is, as you rightly say, an investment case there. Oddly enough, that fundraising was reminiscent of some fundraisings that have been done pre-COVID. So it does indicate to me in some ways there's a slightly more bullish attitude emerging amongst some of the institutional communities in regard to opportunities into small cap or micro cap mining companies. It's a ploy that's often been used in the past, but nonetheless, as you say, the funding's now in, and the company has a bunch of assets that really asset, which is in Greece, and of course this is an asset which is prospective for zinc. It's prospective for zinc, also lead and silver. There's a JORC estimate for this asset, 210,000 tons of zinc, and this all goes all the way back to March this year, where the company won the tender for to mine the Malloy zinc deposit, and this has progressed through the year. In August this year, the company announced from the work it had done at the Malloy asset, it had recovered 89% zinc and 74% lead at Malloy. Believed that the asset was commercially scalable with zinc across the board from the full amount of material and samples recovered. 57% zinc, 856 grams per ton silver, 63% lead, and germanium, which is it's an offshoot of zinc itself, but it's very much a new battery metal, or a metal for the clean tech industry, used in power generators and the like, and also it has certain defense and media applications. Also copper, 2.62%, and a smattering of gold as well. So this is this is a really important asset for the company. And of course, when we last spoke about Rockfire, Mark, we were talking about the Australian assets, which are still key to the group going forward. But certainly, having won the tender, they've got on with the work on the ground there. And indeed, it does seem that that there's a very strong case now going forward for the company to develop the Malloy asset. So this of course is progressing. In its interim results at the end of September, the company announced updates on the other two assets or two key assets. Now, if we go down to Australia, which is where we spoke about originally, of course, the company has these assets in Queensland, and Queensland is hugely prospective for so many metals, and there are so many companies operating in there. We of course know about Wishbone Gold. We spoke about a few weeks ago. Have an asset there which produced some very strong results, but also ECR Minerals are currently prospecting in the area in the Lulworth Range area, and there are so many historical assets there. The Charters Tower Gold Mine, the Ravenswood mine, the Pajingo mine, Copperhead and Copperdome, of course, are the assets that are owned by Rockfire there, and there are a number of exploration drill holes there that were drilled historically, intersected visible copper, and of course, it's really had to move forward to the point in time where copper has become a really valuable asset, and so the economies of scale, the cost of extracting that from the ground actually become economically viable. Southwest of Copperdome, we have, of course, or southwest of Copperhead, we have the Copperdome deposits. And again, Rockfire sampled there earlier in its campaign, 23.5% copper, 952 grams per ton gold. So across its assets, the company is really starting to ramp up to some scalable assets with commercial levels of these key minerals. We then, of course, have the Plateau asset, and Plateau is near to, I've already mentioned Charters Towers Gold Mine, Ravenswood, Disraeli and Pajingo mines, also Mount Lation and the Highway asset. And again, in the central breccia and the eastern breccias, Rockfire recorded some decent grades when it sampled those projects early this year. So we come back to those interim results. At the interims, the company updated on Copperhead and Plateau assets. And with Plateau, it tested an undrilled area, some 200 meters, returned 17 rock samples from that area, 10.7 grams per ton gold. And across all of the samples returned, more than 80% returned at least 0.1 grams per ton in gold, which is significant and really, I think, is indicative of the area and the potential in the area. The Copperhead assets, the JORC maiden resource estimate there of 64 million tons at 0.19% copper equivalent, which equates to 80 kilotons of copper. And there's potential at Copperhead, the company said, with its interims, for a low-cost bulk tonnage open cut mine. So that really, Rockfire is ticking the boxes on so many levels across this portfolio of assets that it has. We also have, of course, in Australia, we have the Lighthouse assets. We have and we have a number of key minor assets to go with this, and the companies it will be providing updates certainly on the Lighthouse asset as we go forward in the near future. So in summary, when we look at what the company has overall, we have 210,000 tons of zinc, 39,000 tons of lead, 3.5 million ounces potentially of silver, with a JORC asset or a JORC resource asset in Australia of 208,000 tons of gold, 1.5 million ounces of silver. So this is hugely important. There are also other minerals included with this. Obviously, we've covered the copper, 80,000 tons of copper, 9,500 tons of molybdenum, and 1.1 million ounces of silver within the porphyry belt across the project. We then come, of course, to the subscription, which I think caused much head scratching amongst the investing community. And of course, if you're a retail investor holding the stock at 2.6p, to see your stock literally halved in price on the back of that raising is upsetting. I can imagine. I've seen it before, and this does go on. But nonetheless, the money's raised. The company is now fully funded through to June next year to complete both of the planned programs it has for the Malloy mine in Greece. So the company, of course, I believe will live or die from these results. But the fact it's been backed by a major UK institutional investor, to me, says that they're pretty sure that they have what they have there. And of course, the money was raised in the most unbelievably difficult markets. We've seen the issues faced by microcap resource stocks over the year in terms of raising money, and then of course we have the damage done by the Truss government, the huge issues that we're dealing with in terms of inflation and everything else. It's a market that you really struggle to raise money in. So the fact that they got this money raised is a good thing, but also the fact that it was raised by an institutional investor is, of course, hugely important. The other point I want to make here is that the directors of the company were also involved all the way across. So you've got Patrick Elliott, Nicholas Wally, Gordon Hart, the CEO, David Price, and Graham Hogan, all now subscribing as part of this raise. As a result, Patrick Elliott owns nearly 2.8% of the company, Nicholas Wally 5.2%, Gordon Hart 1.3%, David Price now owns 3.2%. So you've got a CEO there with skin in the game, and I think that's hugely important. If you're looking at a company, you want to see that the chief executive and the board all have skin in the game, and as a result of this, they do. So set aside your misgivings about the price, the money that was raised at. The fact is they're now fully funded. The board are fully incentivized as shareholders going forward. And the market capitalization of the company after that raise is 1.63 million, which is nuts. When you look at the assets the company has, it just simply doesn't make sense. So I think it's going to recover from here. And it does provide an opportunity, as the directors have bought in at this level. If you're looking to top up, or if you're looking to buy for the first time, I think with a 1.6 million market cap, you can't go wrong. If you look at, for example, other companies that have come to market this year, First Class Metals came to market with a 6.5 million market cap at 10p. Share price is now getting on for 15p. It gives you some idea of the sort of value assigned to quality mining assets. So I think once Rockfire shareholders get past the fact this raise has taken place at that level, I think there's huge value on offer.
Excellent. I mean, yeah, certainly at 1.6 million market cap, that is low. That's very low, considering the projects that they have and the activity that they've got going on now. Needs must maybe in these markets for that kind of a raise, but it's done. It is what it is. And of course, the board did take part in that raise as well. And as you say, they are now funded through their next stage of work programs. So let's see what happens, but it's good to get a reminder of the case there and the assets that they do indeed have. And hopefully they can start to actually realise some value from this very low level at the moment.
Well, the money was raised to go into Malloy, or the primary Malloy project, and the company won the tender for that. So it now has to do what it says on the tin. That money's got to go straight into those two works that the company are doing at Malloy. And, if it comes back with the results that I hope for, given what's there already, the only way from here really has to be up.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that. So TekCapital then.
TekCapital. So, Mark, we spoke about TekCapital a few months ago, and TekCapital are a global IP investment group, and they focus on transferring university technology into valuable products to improve lives. And of course, we're based at the Sussex Innovation Centre, so we have a good understanding of that process. The Innovation Centre brings through lots of university technology and spins it out into the commercial sector. So TekCapital basically do the same thing. Now they have four key investments, which I'm going to go through in a second. But they also have a network of investing, which is a global network, and it's quite fascinating. If you go onto the website, you can see the extent of the network that they're literally plugged in into all of the major universities and innovation centers across the world. And from that, they developed a database of IP, a database of tech. So if you're an investor seeking an early stage investment into, let's say, artificial intelligence, then when you sign up on the TekCapital app to search for that, you can set your parameters, and all of the investments available across the TekCapital network within that sector will come to your attention. And it's a fantastic way for early stage investors to get involved. And of course, if you're an early stage investor, you understand in the UK the tax benefits of seed enterprise investment schemes and EIS schemes and so on. So the tax benefits are absolutely huge in this regard. I spoke to an interview the chief executive, Dr. Clifford Gross, a month or so ago, and he explained how they go about the process of sourcing these early stage technology companies. And there are a number of demonstrations on that in terms of the companies that they've invested in, the listings that those companies have achieved recently. What TekCapital like to do, rather than raise venture capital, they seek to list the technology business as early as possible if they see an opportunity to rapidly scale the technology and rapidly scale the company in question. And that's what they seek to do. And in many ways, this is the balance that many early stage companies seek to or struggle to come to terms with, in that, of course, they can either bring in VC tech early and give away a chunk of the company to do that, or they can develop the company to a point where they can bring TekCapital in, and TekCapital will assist them in the process of listing the business and getting it to market, and of course engaging a whole legions of retail investors in the process. And that of course is what we like to get involved in. So in terms of its IP, TekCapital has four key investments. It owns 100% of a company called Guident, Guident, and this is these are AVs, autonomous vehicles. Of course, we're moving into the age where as opposed to driving your car into town, you can jump into your autonomously powered car, which will drive you there and get you there. There's no driver at the wheel. You simply get there and then get out the other end. But of course, in order to do that, you have to have these remote monitoring stations, and that's what Guident are all about. They have remote monitoring and control systems, and these the control centers have market-leading technology and response time. So when you send an instruction to that vehicle, it responds within millionths of a second, as you would hope. So that's the number one investment. They have a 97% stake in a company called Microsalt, and Microsalt is a very interesting company, certainly in regard to its technology, which is quite simply taking the salt granules that are used in fast food and reducing the size of those granules. So, as the name implies, Microsalt. What it means is that, of course, there are huge health problems associated with fast food, particularly in the US. And what the Microsalt capsules or the Microsalt grains will do is they will reduce in time, that they'll reduce the impact of salt intake and sodium intake to the body by up to 30%. And that's going to impact hugely in terms of healthcare costs going forward and everything else. And again, it's a hugely simple idea. And there have been a number of developments of late with that. Microsalt have lowered or launched these salt shakers, the first full flavor, lower sodium table salt shakers, launched to retail chains at the start of the month, the start of October. And again, this is something that goes straight out into the marketplace and is impacting straight away on people's lives. We then sort of take it forward. On the 13th of October, a few days ago, the company announced, this is Microsoft, announced a partnership with Presti Foods to develop and roll out these low salt the solutions for the Presti's range of ready to eat meals. And of course, given this fast world we now live in, Mark, there are plenty of people doing that, grabbing fast food and eating quickly in order to be able to have time to live the rest of our lives. So Microsalt is a major investment for TekCapital. That company, I've no doubt, will be coming to market very soon. We then come to the two listed entities. Of course, at the end of September or toward the end of September, Lucid, one of TekCapital's key investments, Lucid launched on NASDAQ. It floats on the NASDAQ. TekCapital retains 71% of the company and has a number of shares and warrant options within the group, which it's retained. And there have been a number of developments with that. The Lucid has struck a distribution deal with the huge US brand Nautica, which is a global lifestyle brand, but particularly big in the US. So Lucid develops smart eyewear, and of course we're hearing a lot about smart glasses nowadays. So the eyewear is the first eyewear to feature or the first company to deliver prescription glasses incorporating Bluetooth. So it's a huge step forward in terms of innovation, and now this is being incorporated with the Nautica brand going forward. Also, some key hires there within the company. The company hired a fellow called Kenny Offerdale, which is Kenny is a long-established figure within the eyewear industry. He's worked as head of sales for a number of brands, Rocky Brands, and a number of others, and also Randolph Eyewear, senior VP. And he's come to Lucid to help with innovative eyewear to develop the smart glasses opportunity, which he views as pivotal and disruptive to the industry. They also hired a lady called Jan Corey, who's as VP of Optical Sales and Marketing. Jan Corey's was named by Vision Monday as one of the most influential women in the optics industry back in 2015. So hugely influential again. So these are two key players coming into the company at a very early stage. And just referring back to the point I made about TekCapital looking for scalable companies, this is exactly how the scalability works. You bring these sort of people in to help you grow the business. So the final investment the company has is with Bellascura, which of course is listed on AIM. Bellascura, of course, is engaged with medical devices and improved and portable oxygen generators, specifically for COPD sufferers. And Bellascura recorded a very strong set of half-year results to the end of June. Group revenues of $600,000, 34% higher than previously, and an EBITDA loss, net cash of $11 million at the end of June. And of course, the Bellascura invested a huge amount of its funds into its US manufacturing base, and is extending its distribution channels across the US and worldwide. So it's made substantial progress, and certainly Adam Reynolds, who's well known within the investment Twitterati. Adam Reynolds is, said that the company has achieved considerable progress, huge positive response for the market. The business is now being scaled up, and he expects substantial growth in the coming years. So you've got these investments by TekCapital into these market-leading companies, and that network that I spoke about first of all. The company's the shares, Belasco shares, currently trading at just under 17 pence. That's at a year low, year high 38 pence, and of course it peaked after the Lucid IPO back at the end of August, early September, and here we are now. We're at 16p. So there's a great opportunity, I think, to pick up a stock in a company which is invested in across a wide range of IP, but certainly with the Guidant, Microsoft, and Lucid owns the vast majority of stock within the company, and that's hugely important. So TekCapital understands the market, understands the audience, and understands the opportunity. So I think this is going to be set for a very bright couple of years, and it's a good opportunity to get in while the company's valued so lowly.
Excellent. Just quickly, Alan, I know we did speak about this before, and I remember you saying it's very unusual. It's a good idea, taking these university projects and giving them capital with the idea to advance them and potentially get them on the market. What are the significant developments since we last spoke? So in the last sort of couple of months, have they taken on new projects or advanced a couple of them? Just to finish off.
Yeah, the key developments are I mentioned Microsoft, of course. So Microsoft has launched those shakers. It's also launched a partnership with Prestige, which are the provide fast food, and those and it just means that those micro salt granules are now starting to proliferate across the various food outlets, and that of course is developing. But I think the most significant development really is the IPO of innovative eyewear owned by Lucid, and of course TekCapital post IPO still owns 71% of the company in the group, and that's listed on Nasdaq. The share price, as you would expect, as often happens post IPO, has come off. Currently trading at $2. That's down from $7 initial IPO price, but it's come back from those lows, and I fully expect going forward, particularly given those appointments I covered just now, and also the collaboration with Nautica and the other developments. I fully expect Lucid is going to blaze a trail with innovative eyewear as we go into 2023.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you very much for giving us the case there for TekCapital and, of course, Rockfire Resources. Thank you very much, Alan Green.
Thank you, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content.